Hey, welcome back to KSP with Moon. Forgot what we were playing for a second. KSP with Moon. We are grinding orbital tourism, and after this, we'll be developing our first orbital recovery craft to start collecting more Kerbals for the cause. So, for this one, we have Fransky, Handun, Curtin, Halfred, Orwin, Barbary, Tomamore, Dangren, Chrissy, Gilling, Bargard, Ludman, Krisny, Sigmy, Kurlo, Halong, Mildo, Sidzi, Fredden, Fredzer, Joni, Tanster, Magram, Greyfield, Samnan, Shadrick, Shelson, Zelwyn, Algar, Surlock, Tanwin, Verfel, Cald, Milbury, Rosgi, Jesnerd. And that is a full crew. Look at that. All right. So, Obscure, I'm not sure if you were here for the development of this, but this craft is meant to transport the maximum amount of tourists possible to fulfill tourism contracts. Right now, we first built a craft to do suborbital tourism. We've since moved on to orbital tourism, so all these guys want to do is get up, orbit, and come home. So this craft is purpose-built for that. Let's get it launched. It's a 3, 2, 1, liftoff. It's very good at what it does. So we're going to get up to about 500 meters per second, and then we're going to tilt down to about 90 degrees, and that'll coast us up to probably about 230,000 meters above Kerbin, at which point we'll separate and burn for orbit the planet, and then try to land as close as possible back to the KSC. This craft is very good at what she does. The workhorse of the Kerran Empire for sure. Alright. That's 500 meters per second. We're going to tilt it down to 90 degrees. There we go. Preparing for booster separation. 3, 2, 1. Booster separation complete. Alright, now we are going to orient to 90 degrees to transfer all that momentum forward. Now that we left a good amount of the atmosphere, we don't have much pulling back on us. According to this, apoapsis currently 135,000 or 135 kilometers and climbing. So we're going to keep burning this out. She's very good at what she does. Our first foray into tourism, we had much smaller crafts that could launch way fewer Kerbals at a time. But this is the penultimate design. We'll probably come up with a better one before we move on to moon tourism. But every step of the way with this career playthrough, we are going to have tourism to keep the money flowing. Actually, it's only day 10 and we've almost entirely upgraded the Kerbal Space Center, which is pretty good for career mode. And we're about halfway through the science tree as well. So now that we've separated from our main stage there, going to fast forward up to our apoapsis. Looking at a nice and healthy 1,500 meters per second. And we are going to burn for orbit. Whoop, let's turn the SAS back on. There we go. A little more powerful than previous versions of this as far as, burning for orbit. Should have a decent amount of fuel left by the time we do it for deorbit. That way we don't get stranded. But if the mission is to get up, hit orbit, and come back down, this craft is very good at doing it. And that's orbit. Alright, look, these guys are happy now to bring them home. Alright, so I'm going to warp to here. Ladies and gentlemen, you are free to move about the cabin for the next 25 minutes as we make our orbit around Kerran. Please keep all bodily fluids to yourself and secure all snack containers. Alright, so we're going to get over here, orient retrograde. There we go. And we are going to deorbit. Try to land as close as possible to the KSC. She's a pretty craft. I need to add some external lights for visual sync. I think we're going to do that next. Alright. Oriented retrograde. Preparing to re-enter the atmosphere. Get our heat shield taking the brunt of that. Here we go. Re-entry successful. No lost parts. There we go. Back it up, Terry, all the way home. Very smooth re-entry. A lot of trial and error with this design, but not a lot of moving parts. She's pretty solid. Full crew. I like to stick to more realistic designs when it comes to craft, so I don't do a lot of clipping, especially when it comes to fuel tanks. We got 3 fuel tanks here, and this fuel tank here. And get down to about 3,000 meters. 2,000. And deploy chutes. Drogues out. Mains fully deployed. And we'll coast down to the surface at a lovely 7.5 meters per second. Not too shabby. And we're rather close to the KSC too, so we're going to further minimize recovery costs. You don't want to fast forward all the way to the ground because you might lose something. Yeah, no, she's pretty good at what she does. We have a few policies in place with the administration building, so a lot of our funds income from this is converted to science. A lot of our reputation income is converted to science as well. And we currently have maximum reputation, so we're doing pretty good. It's been a long grind to get here. You will not typically have this technology level at this milestone level, but we are doing it. So let's see. Do we have anything else to upgrade? That's upgraded. That's upgraded. That's upgraded. That's upgraded. Ooh. Spaceplane hangar. Fully upgraded. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a fully upgraded Kerbal Space Center by day 10. Grinding tourism. Most impressive. No limitations. It's a lot of money we spent doing that. So let's see here. How can we improve this craft even further? Well, I want some external lighting. Outside of that, I think she's pretty decent. So Okay. Alright, external lighting set. Let's grab another round of missions here. And 6, 10, 13, 17, 21, 24, 26, 28, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. Come back to the vehicle assembly here. 30. This vehicle holds a total of 37 maximum occupants. That's one pilot and 36 passengers. Each of these holds 4. Should have more than enough room. We got Fosen, Greg Doc, Kordoff, Grayford, Helmy, Meg, Mac, Alili, Genzi, Desmond, Paprit, Murphy, Anal, Trainee, Linfall, Marner, Dudson, Asney, Nelney, Jezrod, Curly, Gemmel, Jested, Sisted, Lagernaut, Erical, Wenbos, Jane, Melgi, Trifree, Samrat, Dezel, Samser, Luster. And Bill, and Bob, and Valentina, you can come too. And we launch for the 11th launch of the LOV. LOTV 1F. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. It's pretty standard at this point for this craft. Give ourselves a little bit of nose down on takeoff, just a little bit. All right. Once we get to about 500 meters per second, we are going to tilt down to 90 degrees, burn out the rest of our boosters, separate, and after that we are going to tilt down to the horizon and burn for orbit. Probably going to hit about 230 kilometers altitude. Once we hit that apoapsis, we will burn to complete our orbit around the Kerran, and then we'll try to land back as close as possible to the KSC. Gonna tilt down now to 90 degrees, not too quickly. We don't want our momentum to flip us over. We gotta keep her held together here. Almost ready for separation. Sep is good. All right. Now we are going to burn for the horizon, transferring all our momentum forward. Keep our apoapsis climbing here. That'll probably peter off at about 230-ish. It'll vary just a little bit. We don't have to be super accurate with this craft. And as soon as we separate, we're going to turn the lights on to see how those new external lights look for this. I'm not sure there are very many more design changes I can make to this specific craft. It does its job, and it does its job very well. In fact, I'm confident that merely an upgrade of the launch system could carry this craft to moon orbit and return, which will be the next phase of our tourism program, is to orbit the moon and return. Now, when they want to start landing on the moon, it's going to be a little bit different. We might have to design a new craft for that. This may serve as just a shuttle between. Alright, so we are going to separate that stage. Let's throw our lights on. Alright. Nothing on the underside, but I really couldn't figure out a good place to put anything there, but that's fine. Alright. Now we're going to fast forward to our apoapsis. I was a little off. This time it's about 200,000. That'll still be enough to make orbit for us. What's key is having the proper amount of speed when we get there. About 1460 meters per second. Not too bad. Burning for orbit. This craft has 4 tanks on it. We have this large one here, as well as these 3 here. And they all burn rather evenly. Those 3 tanks empty is almost the same amount of weight as this, so the balance maintains across the craft for the center of mass. Almost there. As soon as our periapsis hits above 70,000, we'll see that our objective was triggered. Almost. And there it goes. I'm going to normalize that. Okay. Now we're going to aim probably right about here and fast forward. Let's see how those lights look on the night side. I'm unsatisfied with the exterior lighting, but this is acceptable. I will build a nicer craft, a better craft, a more lit up craft. It will be Christmas in space, I assure you. But not for this one. Now we just have headlights. Looks pretty nice though. Honestly, cockpit view. I gotta say the Mark II inline cockpit's gotta be one of my favorites. I love this. We sit behind each other design. Pretty visible. Okay, we got a lot of guys to burn through here. Get back to... There we go. Pretty visible front end here. I don't like the Mark II like regular cockpit as much because you can't really see as much. I like visibility. All right, we're gonna burn out the rest of our fuel to deorbit. As long as we're entering the atmosphere, we are golden. All right, make sure we are oriented retrograde. Okay. And we are going to rotate ourselves like this. There we go. We want to protect the majority of our parachutes from re-entry heat. Gonna fast forward down here. And here we go. Re-entering at 2,300 meters per second. Not too bad. We've done faster for sure. Okay. Cut off the fast forward. Wait till we get to about 2,000 meters. Drogues deployed. That's gonna initiate our descents. Good amount of G's, but not too many. There we go. And we are going to fast forward down at a graceful 7.5 meters per second to land softly in the ocean. Another successful launch and return for the LOTV-1 series craft. The launch cost is pretty high at about 100,000, but landing it safely and returning, we get about 60,000 of that back. So at the end of the day, we're only spending about 40,000 to launch it. With the funds that we get from this in return and the science return, it pays for itself over and over and over again. Alright, we're going to do this one more time. Try to get enough science for the heavy aerodynamics. And then we are going to try to build a craft purpose-built for rescuing Kerbals stranded in orbit of Kerbin so we can bolster our ranks before we move out further into the solar system. Alright, let's pack her full and get underway. We've got Oric Tomdo, Gemgum Elidid, Rayberry, Lenbull, Sigamy, Malmy, Daphne, Melzel, Moonfin, Kima, Melded, Mitlong, Demoni, Geofoli, Leduki, Glemming, Jandok, Harzen, Furfin, Corley, Lagerbald, Jedlin, Carble, Wenold, Lufrid, Ganeely, Podfin, Neiman, Tramy, and Bill, and Bob, and Valentina, you can come too. We never tried to land in the mountains before. I hope this works out. Thank God for friction. All right, heavy aerodynamics. Just what we wanted. So let's go to our handy dandy spaceplane hangar. All right, if I'm a rescue craft, I need to have room for people to be rescued. All right. Aerodynamics. Put that on there. Let's see here. Payload. No, we don't need that. Room for the people. All right. And the rest of that space, going to use for fuel. Uh, liquid fuel? Liquid fuel. No rocket fuel. That must be the experimental aerodynamics. Or the larger fuel tanks. That's okay. We can adapt. So, the largest tank we have is this. These are where the people are, and that's what's returning. Let's go. Thermal heat shield. Okay. Mm-hmm. Let's try to build the craft out of this. I don't typically use Mark III because I find them unwieldy, but I feel like we can launch this up to do what we need it to. It doesn't have to have nearly as much capacity as our previous ships, so we should be okay. I mean, this is much lighter still than what we've been launching. So let's go coupling. The largest one we have. Yeah. Okay. Bring that out here. Rigid. Alright, fuel tanks. Okay. Engines. We're going to try a skipper tentatively. I like that better, but I don't like the shroud. There we go. Okay. Rigid. Which burn time do we have on that? 60 seconds of burn time. We can do better than that. Okay. Let's say 4. Yeah. If we do it like that, we could probably bring that tank home. Thermal. Okay. Bring that out there. Four is nice. What's our burn time now? 78 seconds. Okay. What if we're in vacuum? 1.65. Okay. Probably shift these back a little bit for our aerodynamic profile. That should do nicely. But do they look better rotated? It's always the question I ask myself. Can I make it look cooler by rotating it? Sounds like a cat did a cat thing. Engines by design are pretty good at handling heat because, well, they make heat. Alright, these have gimbals, so let's give it a little rotate in like that. Nope. It's resting on there. Just a tiny little, ever so slightly. There we go. We like that. 78 seconds of burn. I think that'll be acceptable for what we're trying to do. So let's go over here. What if I wanted more burn? No. Let's keep her sleek. Keep her simple. Okay. Perfect. All right. Now we don't want to forget parachutes. This thing. Okay. Oh, I'll be back. Okay. Bring that in, bring that in, bring that in, bring that in. But where are the drogues? No worries. I'm being summoned. I will return. All right. Let's continue with this. We'll probably need more than that, but we'll figure out exactly how many we need in testing. Okay. So now we need maneuverability in orbit. Fuel tanks. RCS fuel tank. No. Fuel tanks. What if we did this fuel tank? It's an orange. There we go. And then... Oh, we still don't have the... Okay. Understood. And then some electrical, because that's important. Oh, we haven't upgraded our electrics, like, at all. That's funny. I don't think we're gonna need that much. That seems like a lot, actually. 750 monopropellant. 400 monopropellant. Could do a few of these. Yeah, let's do 4 of those instead. Okay, so we'll do that by... Putting you here. Shifting you out. Let's put one of these here. Rigid. Rigid. Okay. Bring this up. Electrical. Rigid. There we go. Okay, and then times 4. There we go. We like that. Now, command and control. What do we have? What are these? Doesn't need to be a lot. There we go. Perfection. Stedler. It's just one color for those, huh? Okay. Let's check where our center mass is. Alright. Set that to times 4. Okay. Tuck those in the corner there. Alright. Get some on the nose. No, I hate that. We really only need to have front and backwards control here, so that's more than fine. Actually, what if we did that? Yeah, that works. We like that. So we've got backwards, plenty of frontwards, side to side. We need maybe a little bit more up and down. Probably do that. No, that's dumb. We hate that. I think that'll be fine. We don't have to. We're not docking. We're just getting close. So save that. Switch editor. Okay. Save that. Open that. Okay. Yeah, let's grab the same launch system actually that we're using for the LORB or LOTV. Open craft. Save continue. LOTV. Alright. Take this. Overwrite that. I'll be right back. Alright, let's give her a test, and if everything works out like we like it to, next time I throw up the stream, we will be utilizing her for the rescue of Kerbals. So, test pilot today is going to be Jebediah. Let's see how she does. I got high hopes. So for this test, we are just simply going to make orbit and see how much fuel and maneuverability we have. We're also going to test re-entry. Same launch system, so I'm going to attempt to follow the same protocols for launch and orbit as we do with the LOTV. If successful, this will be designated the LORV, which will be Low Orbit Recovery Vessel. At about 500 meters per second, those boosters start to act like wings, so we can get a pretty decent angle without having to worry about losing speed or control. Tilt that down. There we go. Preparing for booster separation. Booster separation successful. Orienting with the horizon. Turning on lights for maximum cinematic value. Not sure we're going to get quite the altitude we had previously, but we'll see. Oh, actually much more improved. Good. Right about where we were. Alright, separate that. Okay, orient prograde. And burn. Thinking we need more engines maybe to keep the stage punchier, but this isn't horrible. Alright. Normalizing orbit. Good. Okay. Orbiting at 248. 248. Let's simulate a change of orbit by getting that down to 80,000 and evening it out. '77's good enough. Warping to that. We have decent control, decent speed. Still sitting at half a tank. Let's normalize this to roughly 78,000 across the board. Okay. Orienting retrograde. All right. Now we're going to test our...
It's done.
Yes. Now we are going to test... That's tasty. We're going to test maneuverability with our RCS thrusters. Switching to docking mode. Not too shabby. We have left, we have right, we have forward, we have back. Rotation, good. All right. So those look good. Exiting docking mode. Let's attempt to re-enter the atmosphere and land. I estimate we can probably rescue between 1 and 3 Kerbals per launch for this. Testing re-entry.
It's only to verify your birthday, so I'm pretty sure
Hopefully that heat shield is enough. Entering the atmosphere. 21,000 meters per second.
I don't think they're going to give you the license. I don't. But you can apply.
Nice stable re-entry profile. Let's throw out the chutes and see how well she does. Saved a little bit of fuel just in case. Alright, so I'm thinking we're going to need to add a few more chutes. We're descending at about 11.5 meters per second. It's too fast. If you ask me, I like to have it around 7.5. So as we get closer to the ground, I'm going to burn out some of this fuel to ease our landing and bring Jebediah home safe. Alright. So I'd say the prototype works pretty well. Next time we are going to dress her up with a couple more parachutes, get a few missions accepted, and start rescuing Kerbals. I want to thank you all for joining me today here on KSP with Moon. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys next time.